Hey, good morning, folks. Good. In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Thanks to Jim Carrey and The Truman Show. Hi, it's Michael Johnson TV here with you on the 16th of August, 8:12 a.m. Eastern. What's in the menu tonight? Well, yesterday was the day two of my vacances photo extravaganza experience, escapade, whatever you want to call it. And we visited Habitat 67. And I got there early. I went down by Bixie, electric Bixie, wearing my helmet. Electric assisted little rental shared, well, whatever you want to call it, bike share, owned by Lyft, apparently. But now they're selling off their bike shares, like in New York City, City Bike. I think they want to sell it off. So they focus on the car share. But Bixie, born in Montreal, and we have electric assisted ones. So it's nice if you got a longer distance to go or you got some uphills to do. Gives you a little boost. You got to pedal and it gives you a boost when you pedal. So took my bike out to the point there, out to Habitat 67, and had a nice time. It was cool to be in there. And I'll show you the photos. We'll go through the photos and then we might cover some rants, urban rants, other adventures of recent times. But even as I say that, I'm a bit hesitant because I don't know if I want to make rants too much, but that's okay. We're thinking about branching out our ndg360.com urban commentary channel, but wanting to make it more kind of storytelling, human focused, talk to real people, not just rant on my own here. So let's jump into it. Whoop, got to fade over. Let's jump into the map and show you what we're up to here. So stream health is good. Yes, stream health is excellent connection. All right. Good. So here's Montreal. Here's the Mount Royal. Here's downtown. Here's the old port. Here's the Expo 67 grounds and lands, including this little spit of land here where we will zoom in and focus on. Today, this is Habitat 67 building. So you can see there's a interesting structure. It's kind of like these modules, modular building. And so each unit is kind of made up of like multiple modules. You can see that here if you go from the top. Here, there's one module, one modular block here, connected to another modular block here, on top of two other modular blocks. There's one underneath here and one there. So it's kind of like two like this with like two more on top of it. And various common areas. There's sort of a staircase here. There's an elevator system also that goes up and down. And there's walkways. This is a walkway here where you can walk and you can get into your unit here. That's your neighbor over here. And it's quite an interesting spot. And they offer tours. There's guided tours. So there was another group that was at the same time as us, and we had a guide who kind of accompanied us, and you could ask him questions and stuff. Normally he'd be talking, he'd be telling you the history of it. And I highly recommend folks, even you live in Montreal, go check out Habitat 67. Take a tour. It's pretty cool to see. It's pretty fun. It's pretty neat. There's amazing views of the city, amazing views of the river behind. And yeah, what else can I say? There's this other project here, this Exploring Hillside, the Hillside Sample Project with this company Neoscape using Unreal Engine and some 3D graphics and reality capture software. And they worked with Moshe Safdie, the architect of the project, to kind of recreate his initial original vision, which was this sort of hillside of terraced units, modular block units you can see here, and then down below would be sort of common areas, and this actual city would be underneath here those would be the residences here on these terraced sort of structures, big concrete structures. It's kind of wild to see. But there's some cool stuff here. I might dive deeper into this. You can explore it using some kind of crazy Google streaming software. But let's come back to the real thing, Habitat 67. Before we start, I want to just highlight, I'm going to start down here. I got there early. The Bixie station is somewhere over here. And there's a nice park here Let me show you again. Montreal. There's a nice park. You can go out on this little spit of land here, and it's just beautiful, especially around sunset when the lights of the building are coming up and the light, the sun is setting, and you can see beautiful, beautiful views of the port and of the buildings. So a nice spot. Nice spot. Take a picnic over here in Parc Dieppe. And there's other sites that you can see now. There's a new tower built up over here, observation tower. There's over here is where they have the Cirque du Soleil. There's the big circus tents, quite lovely and colorful. You might see that later in one of my panoramics that hopefully I kept and I didn't delete, but we'll see. But let's start. So I arrived and then I went down here and I chilled out here right next to the river. And man, that was really, really awesome. Here you can see the view from there. Oh dear, what have I done? Back to Lightroom, full screen. Yeah. There's the view from right down next to the river. This is the St. Lawrence River, and here's a gentleman out on his surfboard. There's a couple of particular spots here, particular waves. This is one of them, and this is a big one of them. There was others surfing here. Standing waves, and there's one in La Salle up the river from here also. It's just so cool. The power of that river is like freaking awesome. I was just a bit scared, even just sitting at the edge of it. Okay, strap yourself in. Don't lose any gear. Don't, I wanted to go in. It's like you're drawn to the water. I want to feel the water. I want to feel it on my hands and stuff. But whoa, no, 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 no. Don't touch the water. Yeah, even though, I mean, these folks are experienced extreme athletes, let's call them, but no safety gear, no life vest. You got your surfboard and that's it. So it's pretty extreme. Yeah, so there's a wide angle shot. And I did bring my 55-200 lens, so I did zoom in a little bit. And this is a bit cush, actually. Let's do some developing while we're here. Sorry, dude. And this guy came down to see me also. It was fun. He's like, "Oh, did you take photos?" "Yeah, I took photos." "Oh, send them for my Instagram, bro." "Yeah, for sure, man." So I sent him a couple of copies of that. So I just want to make that this level here. And we can do that um, using Lightroom tools also, of course. So this is Mr. Benjamin Duplanty-Grenier off on his surfing adventure in the St. Lawrence. Let's go back. Yeah, he was just chilling out. Once you get on that standing wave, you just kind of do movements, go up and down, try to do moves, go back and forth. It's pretty cool. It's pretty fun to see. Yeah. Here's the spot. Ah, yes, here's the spot. So I did a little video here. Let me boost up the desktop audio and we'll just do a little tour. I don't think you hear that. Need to put this onto Realtek audio. Just on the other side at Habitat 67. Lovely flow. And you can see there's a surfer on their way out, headed for this wave. Paddle, bro, paddle. Caught it. So lovely down here. Freaking amazing spot. Don't do this at home. Always be with a buddy. Safety first. Just missed it. I guess that's the beginner wave over there. The bridge in the back. Lovely flow. Fucking strong flow though. Don't fuck around with the river, folks. Pardon me, yeah. Don't fuck around. Don't mess around with the river, man. Yeah, so that was the spot. You can see the power of the flow. And there's a couple of bridges, Pont Victoria, Victoria Bridge there, the rail bridge. Such a really nice spot. So, yeah, let's keep moving here. Lightroom kind of freezes on me. So yeah, then our friend was back a bit later trying to catch the wave. Oops, just missed the wave. Damn. And trying again, didn't quite make it. Oops, didn't quite make it. Try again. Oh, there's a funny little, he's looking up. He's like, oh, damn, just missed it. That's kind of a nice crop there. Might just crop this in for that guy. Make a virtual copy of this one for him specifically. Maybe over here. Just square. Make it Instagrammable, baby. Instagrammable. Right in the center. Boom. Yeah. Create virtual copy. And this is going to be, let's go back to the develop module. See, this is how we roll today. We're just going to discover what we discover and mess around a little bit. And I should export this for him. Export. We'll do this later, maybe. No. Desktop, subfolder, format, JPEG, 100% quality, export. Use unique names. Good. Let's jump into Habitat 67. How are we going to roll here? Toolbar? No. Yeah. Put this down. There we go. So Habitat 67, it's really an exercise in zenitude and particular composition because it's very contrasty, right? You get the sun shining from the side, hitting some of the concrete, some of the buildings, but the rest of it underneath that main area is really black. It's dark. So let's just go back to the map and just give you an idea of what we do. Yeah, so that photo that I just showed you is really kind of like one of these columns here on the side. Whoops. The side here that had light. Sort of the sun was coming from the side, coming down, and so we start over here, and then we go underneath. You're really under this. There's a sort of a main level, sort of big mezzanine level that you can kind of, and the light shines through some of the holes in this building, through holes in it, and comes from the back. So we were really in this area down here, walking around, and underneath here, and then we went up the elevator through one of these walkways over to one of these sort of common areas. These are like common areas here. You can chill out, you can hang out. We even walked all the way over to one of them, which was here. Yeah, we were here. And then you got this like incredible view of, right, the bridge, Olympic Stadium, Molson, downtown, Tour de Radio-Canada, CBC Tower, all these other buildings. It's really cool, really nice, really nice spot. And I've been on previous photo vacances in previous years. I've been on top of this building here, Radio-Canada, several times for a sunrise and a sunset. And this little narrow building here for like a sunset. We went on the top of this conveyor building here, again for a sunset, and we went on top of this building here a couple of times for different sunrise and sunset. And I think that's it for rooftop buildings. Yeah. So let's jump back to Lightroom and just enjoy the zenitude. So again, we're really looking for like just shapes and sort of lines. So there's a lot of angles, but you don't want things to be tout croche, like all weird angles. So you want to maintain sort of some symmetry, some sort of baseline orientation so you can position yourself in the photo. So without having too much of the sunlight in the back either, because then that's a problem because it's going to be blown out. The highlights are going to be blown out. So here there's a little bit of blown out highlights in the sky, which is okay because it's a very small area. But here we were practicing also our exposure techniques. So that's, like I said, using this Ansel Adams style zone system of Ansel Adams, where you sort of find the brightest point of the image, which for me was here, and try to set the exposure at +2 exposure values in the digital space so that it's going to be right up against the end of your plage, your dynamic range. You want to be at the end of your dynamic range without going over, because at the end of your dynamic range there's a cliff, and if you overexpose then you lose all the detail. So this is bright. You can see over on the right, if you look at this thing here, there's going to show you percentages. So it's going to say 97, 97, 96. So it's bright. It's not over 100%. There's still detail in here. And in fact, if we sort of drop the highlights down, you can extract some detail in this concrete here. So if we just So weird, this Stream Deck seems to be dying from time to time. Undo, redo, undo, redo. Yeah, so that's a bit more detail you can pull out. This wasn't one of my favorite pictures. This one I chose. Okay, yeah. So these are all the blocks. These are the modules, and there's like big concrete structures. And so again, looking for just trying to compose something that's just interesting and leads your eye on a little adventure. That's the idea here. So I'm not sure. There's no really strong point in the image here. I mean, these windows are kind of boring. So there's more detail to find there. Not really. So it's kind of, your eye is kind of constrained at least, but it has a tendency to go off out the left side of the image. So I didn't really like that one that much. Again, looking for zenitude. There's a little bit of shapes here, this diagonal coming down, this diagonal coming down, this leading line kind of leading you around, and kind of, there's a little bit of interplay there. It's quite pleasant actually, with a bit of tree in the background. Exposure seems pretty good. Actually, I don't mind this one. Might bring up the shadows a bit, just get a bit more detail there. Play with the whites a bit. Brighten it up, drop the highlights, get them a bit more. Oh, suddenly this writing like appears, right? As we bring in a bit more contrast in the highlights. I don't know if I like that though. Yeah. So yeah, that's the style that we're looking for here. Really zen, peaceful, sort of leading some vertical and horizontals to anchor you, and then some light rays coming sideways at different angles. That's kind of what we're looking for here. This one's a bit like, whoop, you just kind of fall out the bottom, so it's a bit boring. I played a lot with that wall, as you can see. So again, this is sort of, lines coming down this way, combined with the sun line coming down this way, this way, this way. But it's a bit of a big mass, big boring mass in the middle, so that's not that great. And we could boost up the whites, drop the highlights a bit, get a bit more texture in that wall. Might be interesting. There, suddenly this writing appears again. A bit more detail, a bit more leading lines there, right? We can see the history here. From no work done to a bit of more work done. You bring out detail. So what I did there is, you look at the histogram here, there's space on the right here, so we're not fully exposed, but it should be bright. I mean, the brightest area should be white. So we bring up the whites just to the limit, and then we bring down the highlights. And by bringing down the highlights, we're pulling out those bright regions of the image and adding more contrast to them. So we start to see more detail here. as opposed to here you don't see, it's quite flat, you don't see much detail. And we could also add a bit of clarity. Clarity is like a kind of a secret sauce. Doesn't do much in this case, so this is kind of not bad. I like that actually. This is a little bit the challenge. You've got some blocks here, some modules, and then you see I think we're a bit underexposed on this one probably. Could generally bring up the exposure a bit here. Bring up the whites. Again, maybe drop the highlights. You want to get a bit more detail in that reflected sky here. It's kind of, well, it's kind of like different shapes repeated. There's like this shape here, this shape here. A little bit of a border sort of keeps your eye in the image. I don't mind this one actually. Hmm. Maybe play with the shadows a bit, boost the shadows. No. Bit of clarity. Oh yeah. Sort of firms it up a bit. Something in the color temperatures also we might play with a bit later. Even if you go to black and white. Oh. So that's someone's door. So hello and thank you for inviting us into your home, which is not really invited, but we came into your home. So thank you for hosting us. And a bit boring, but kind of just zen again. It's kind of zen composition. A bit too much space on the top and bottom, I find. So I'd probably just crop it in a little bit, but not too much. I want to have this line on the side and this plant on the side also. So maybe just a little bit, but not too much. Yeah. Yeah, a big blank wall. There was a nice idea here. There was this plant. It's quite zen. The sun is coming from the sides, but it's kind of blown out here and just not that interesting. This one. I might just reject this one actually. Keep it clean, folks. Keep it clean. Keep your collections clean. Again, just a wall with some clouds. A bit boring, but the idea was there just to sort of combine a few zen elements. A lot of leading lines. A line come here, it's the window, but there's not really anything that sort of grabs your attention in a sense. Maybe we just need to play with a bit here, a bit of contrast. Stretch the whites maybe, drop the highlights. More detail there. It's kind of dark down here, this black thing right in the middle, so it's not my favorite one. This is a bit like making me dizzy, yeah? Maybe it's because this is not vertical, so let's try to do some vertical kind of thing here. There, it's made it vertical now, this one at least. But now we got to crop it in because we've lost a lot of information. It's kind of like, you kind of, little lines going this way and that way, but it's a bit boring, and now I've got this problem on the side here. Yeah, let's move on. Yeah. Bit wider here, and it's kind of vertical. It's a lot of like imposing structures, though. This is sort of dark and imposing, and this is like weird little vent here, and this big dark thing here. Yeah, yeah. I was doing my darndest to get something out of this spot, but I don't think I quite found it. This is the kind of zen, welcoming kind of thing. Looks a bit cush, though. These lines should be vertical. Let's try to make it vertical. No, we need to make it guided. So we try to pull out a couple of lines here, make it vertical. And this line. Invalid guide configuration. Oh boy. I should just delete one of these. And maybe delete this one. And pull this line down. Okay. And maybe we could crop in a little bit. There's a bit too much space on the side. Something like that. It's kind of welcoming, you know, it's coming down. And then this area is a bit separated, though, I find. It's kind of nice. It's a bit underexposed, though, too. So let's play with that a little bit. A little bit of exposure. It's like half a stop underexposed. A little bit of whites, bring down the highlights. Darken up the blacks. More detail in the shadows. Clarity. Bit too much. It's kind of nice. Kind of welcoming. But I find like, whoops, your eye kind of leaves the image there. And these are sort of, this brick in the middle is a bit annoying. Would have been better probably vertically, which I think I did a bit later. No, not on this one. Tried to bring in other elements to bring it together, sort of coming down here, playing around here, going up here. Moyen. Lots of blocks, lots of modules. That's kind of interesting. So it's a bit more space here. This leading line coming down. So I've cut off the middle sort of noise part there, and there's sort of a thing here, and you can come up and your eye sort of promène a little bit more. Your eye kind of wanders a little bit more in this case. This was kind of a nice spot. So there's lots of little vegetation, little gardens. People can chill. It's kind of a common area at the bottom, little benches. And these are the stairs leading up to people's units. And there's typically little labels there for which the unit numbers there. Do I have any others in this space? No. This was, yeah, kind of nice. Kind of okay. I want to maybe align it vertically. Does a decent job. This vertical correction here, there's a whole section here for upright in Lightroom, and if you click vertical, it'll search for like vertical lines and it'll try to align the vertical lines to make them actually vertical. If you do auto, it'll just look for lines and try to figure it out on its own. If you do level, it's going to be like horizontal level. Full is going to be both, I think. There's details there. I'm sorry, I don't know the details. Guided lets you put like actual lines yourself. So you could put, let's say, a vertical line here, a vertical line here, a horizontal line, a horizontal line. Let's try that actually. Let's do a vertical line here. Another vertical line here. Horizontal line here. Another horizontal line here. Okay. Looks good. I don't know if that's any different than it was before, but hey, it looks nice. I think I got a focus problem though here. The front part probably focused on the back. What was my F number here? F8. Zoomed in. Yeah. It's a nice, you can imagine sort of, oh, I can picture myself with my coffee, you know, coming down, gonna chill in the garden for a little while. So that's kind of nice. Wasn't one of my top picks though. Neither was this. A bit boring, a bit dark, sort of like big dark patch in the image. That's a lot of image real estate there that's taken up by just a dark patch that I don't even know what's inside there. If I boost up the shadows, we'll just see like, oh, there's a big, you know, tube, utility tube. Like, meh. I don't know. I'd call this like a hero shot or something, but like this is where you live. mean, this is the crazy thing about Habitat 67. That's your window. You're just suspended in midair on this like concrete module that's above another module that's suspended in midair. That's like, whew, like structurally, I don't know. You can see the joining line between two of the modules. This was the whole concept of a Habitat 67 is like to make it more, well, make it cheaper to like build some nice buildings, big scale buildings by modularizing it so you have a standardized, it's like 3 meters by 12, 8 meter, 5 meters by 12 meters by 3 meters high, a standardized, basically concrete module block that's made in a factory and then delivered on site, put in, zip, 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 attach it together. Like this is actually still a relevant concept of modularization for reducing costs of large infrastructure projects. The more you can modularize things, make them in a factory, serialize them, and produce them boom, 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 boom in a factory instead of having to erect like huge structures to like build all this stuff, pour all this concrete in place. Right, that's the idea, and we're looking at the same thing for like energy products. I mean, wind turbines, electrolyzers, all of this stuff. We want to modularize those and then get better at building them one after the other in a factory. The factory produced things, you can drive down costs much more easily and rapidly than you can for things that are large, huge, large infrastructure projects. So that was a bit of a side note, but actually I kind of like this one. But I'd maybe make it just horizontal here. I wonder how Lightroom would deal with this level. No, don't do that. Let's make it guided and just, I want to make this kind of horizontal. If I do another line here, is it going to help me? Ooh. Can I crop that out now? No, I've really kind of, well, maybe that's going to reduce the amount of sky. Anyway, we're faffing around here, but no. No, now it's kind of done some weird stuff, so don't want to do that. But it was nice to see the clouds against the window there, the modules hanging out in the middle of space. We're back with our Zen garden here, a little bit of a different perspective. Not sure I like this one that much. Did I play with it? I did, yeah. Last night I was doing all the photos. We got to deliver the photos. This is the workshop structure and schedule is we go shooting from 2 to 5 at prearranged locations. So yesterday, 2 to 5, we're at Habitat 67. The deadline to send the edited and chosen down-selected 15 photos per person to be sent the next day by 10 a.m. to our mentor, so he has time to prepare his comments and do a little bit of work on the photos to illustrate concepts, show what worked, what didn't work. You see what other people saw and how they made their photos, so it's quite fun. But I did it last night after getting home around 6:30, and then at 7:30 we have a Zoom all together where we review the photos from the previous day. So we did that last night, but I had already sent my photos in because I just said, trying to get more zen with like the down selection and the editing and all that stuff and just make it a bit more rapid. Yeah, rapidly, just get to a selection much more rapidly. So having fun with that, but sometimes you miss things maybe. So if I make it auto, is it going to do anything? No. Full. No. I feel like this is not quite vertical, so let's do guided. Drag 2 or more guides to customize perspective corrections. Okay, thanks, Adobe. There's a vertical. Here's another vertical. How's that? Yeah, okay, nice. Yeah, here's a nice like vertical. I'm looking like straight up in this case. And what's the camera here? Yeah, still 55. It's my Nikon 55-200 lens. And let's see the history of the developing here. Import. Yeah, made it black and white, kind of cropped in. it was nice to see these sort of jaws and the sort of X pattern. But if you just had an X pattern, you need something on the bottom and the top to sort of keep your eye in there. Yeah, so let's just go through what we did here. Enable lens profile. You can see the lens profile corrects a little bit the vignetting and straightens the lines. And I was very careful with aligning the horizontal lines here in the viewfinder. Cropped in a little bit. Then we did some shadows, some blacks, some highlights, some whites, some highlights, some clarity. Compare that to the before with the crop. Just bringing in a bit more detail. Then converted it to black and white. There's just something about it that spoke to me in black and white. Your eye can kind of promenade around. Sorry for the French and English mix here. Really, my brain is sort of like morphing more and more towards French as I spend more and more time. Well, I mean, I live here in Montreal, and we speak French at home and speak French around. So, and these courses are offered in French. So often I'm talking about photography in French with the mentor and the other people. So it's a bit tough sometimes. This was a vertical one. Didn't really like it that much. Preferred the horizontal. This is kind of interesting. It's very dark around, but sort of keeps your eye and you sort of like you focus here. So kind of like that actually. It's a bit neat. And another sort of Zen one here. There's an interesting thing here about the color balance because this is directly illuminated by the sun. But the backdrop here is more illuminated by the sky, so it's quite blue. And so there's a trick you can do here to do the post-traitement, the editing here, to adjust the color balance, because it looks quite red here and blue here. This looks cold. This is the problem here. So what we want to do is do a selection, do a mask. How do we do that? Red eye, healing, masking. What we want to do is select by range, color range. And color range, you can take a pipette, select the color range. Now it's selected most of this background, right? That's illuminated by the sky. And then what we can do is sort of warm up the temperature a little bit. Now you're kind of losing the blue in the sky. So, I'm not sure how to do that. But that's the idea. You set a mask and you select a color range, and you can probably edit the color range. Whoops. We can also subtract. You can do complex masking operations in Lightroom, which is one of the new really cool things that you can do. So then you have a mask, and then all these operations happen on that mask. All the exposure corrections, the color temperature, the curves, the effects, the detail. You can do those operations specifically on regions of the image that you've selected for ranges of color, ranges of luminosity, ranges of everything that it can do. It's pretty neat. But we won't get into that right now, but that's sort of what you could do here. Or you could just go black and white, but that's a whole different look. So, yeah, masks. We'll get into that another time, perhaps. There was another sort of, these little spots of light were sort of falling down, falling through the buildings and hitting various features. It was quite charming. That's not that interesting. Here's a nice little Zen thing. So your eye kind of comes down, and there's a point fall, a strong point in the image where your eye can sort of rest and look at the details of this. Bit of cobwebs on the plant. He needs some a little needs a bit of dusting, but otherwise, and something in the background. It's a bit dark, but doesn't bother that much. So there's a nice framing of the image, right? Your eye can sort of come around and back here and down here and look here and come down here and look here. So I do like this one. I do like this one quite a bit. Um, just with that hit of green. It's like you could make this black and white just with a bit of green. Like that could be neat. But we won't play with that today. Then again, I was trying to get like a little bit of greenery on the bottom to have a place to land. Often the problem often with the architectural photos is like you have a vertical line and then it just if you don't cut it off appropriately at the bottom, the line just goes whoop, and your eye just kind of falls from out of the image. So here the risk is that the line, but you have a little bit of a landing place. You want a landing place at the bottom of the image for those lines to kind of land, and then your eye can promenade around here and then sort of come back and look here. And again, there's not really a point fall. It's a bit boring. It's just like an empty window here, but it is quite zen and different lines and structures and some depth to it, at least. Wasn't one of my top. There's our mentor having with one of the other participants in the course. This is the big open space here, so that was cool. There's another view from the backside of this plant with so there's got multiple lines that are coming down, bringing you to this point. A little bit of extra stuff around here. I might just crop it in a little bit, maybe from the top, get rid of that light there. Not sure if that's too tight. And it feels a bit crooked too, doesn't it? But this line seems reasonably vertical. This line should also be vertical. So let's try a guided vertical thingamajig. Whoopsie. No. I want guided, and I want to take this line and go down like that. This line, go down like, see, this one's way off. Is it going to be able to do the perspective corrections? Hey, nice. Nice. Okay, that feels a bit more stable now. Cool. Then it's like low contrast, so we can probably again bring out some details in some parts here. We could just stretch the contrast, which might make it pop a little bit more. Or we can always stretch the blacks, bring up some shadows. Don't want to like make it flat. I mean, it was a contrasty scene, so you want to maintain that. We can boost up some of the whites and drop the highlights to get a bit more detail in some of the rocks, some of the concrete, playing with clarity a little bit. Okay, that's kind of nice. I like that. Very zen. Coming to your eye, kind of, come down here, down here. This is a bit boring here, but there are some features your eye can kind of look here and follow these textures. So if we drop the highlights a bit more, we might see more of those textures. Or a bit more clarity. No, don't play with the dehaze. That's nice. Okay, next. This one a bit less, a bit distracting in the back here. So I didn't really like that one as much. Again, I saw these sort of lines coming down. I thought, I gotta merge these in with something else here, some verticals. In the end, it's just a lot of lines, a lot of shapes, and kind of boring. There's no real central strong point in the rule of thirds of the composition to really keep your eye anywhere. So, yeah, that's the view from up top. So, I mean, I didn't really keep this one. That's the Shum Hospital, giant mega hospital. There's the City Hall, Montreal City Hall. It was about 2:15. Only 2:15? That doesn't look right. What time did I take this picture? It was 3 o'clock. Anyway, yeah, it's kind of a boring picture, but I just wanted to grab it just for the sake of grabbing it. And yeah, we could bring in some stuff here. Get some texture in those clouds. Drop the blacks. Darken it up a little bit. Bit of shadow, not too much. Boost up some clarity. Clarity kind of brings in contrast in certain detailed parts. I can't speak specifically about what clarity does, but I should look that up and be more knowledgeable about all of these things. It's kind of a secret sauce. It sort of amplifies contrast in certain regions. If I zoom in here and play with clarity, you can see what it does. Yeah, that's just documenting the view from where we were. This one was kind of fun. So again, I'm way up high, looking down, zooming in at 55 mil. It's kind of nice. I think I have a better one later though that has a little um, thing. This was kind of interesting. It's a bit of a tough perspective with those two lines. I wonder what I could do with making those vertical if I made some guided perspective correction here. This line is vertical, and this line is vertical. That's neat. Oh, now it's kind of got it framed up. A little, it's kind of like Escher, you know, you can imagine like this level here is like 3 levels down. This is 1 level down. This is, you know, half a level down. So kind of like a waterfall and MC Escher kind of infinite staircase kind of thing going on. Same here. There's like, this is sort of a common area here. This is a module. There's a stair going down here, coming down here, up here. So all the elements sort of line up that way. It's kind of nice, but a bit boring maybe. This one was also neat. A bit too much space down here though, I find perhaps. But it had at least a little plant, a little place for your eye to sort of rest in there. I wonder if I could crop in just a touch. No. Well, just a touch here, just a touch here. Just get rid of a little bit of the busy space on the bottom. That's nice. This is kind of neat. Let's see what we can do with the contrast. Can always bring up the whites, not too far. Get a bit more texture in there. And same thing in the blacks, not too much. Bit of shadows, bit of clarity. No, yeah, brings in a little bit more detail there. So your eye can kind of come around and then find there, and these lines are kind of all leading around. Right, if you cut it off here, then your eye is gonna like whoop, it's gonna leave from the image, and we don't want that, right? We want to create a composition that keeps your eye in the image and invites the eye to peruse around and follow lines and find hidden things. And this is all around the sort of the art of composition, really, is to composing, creating, aligning together the elements of the photo to make it so that when you look at it in 2D, we're looking at a flat screen right now. This was a 3D scene that we flattened onto a 2D plane. So remember that you always, when you're flattening things, sort of things that are in the background, boom, they get smushed together and you can't differentiate between them. So you need to carefully align things together when you make the composition so that your eye can sort of peruse around in a nice, fun way and find things and not get lost and not leave from the image. Just like attention. I mean, you want to capture people's attention and keep people's attention in the picture. That's the view. Was this with the phone? iPhone, yes. So this is like a common area down here, or this is someone's patio with that view of Montreal, and there's one of those modules on the top. It's a crazy awesome building. Crazy awesome building. Yeah. Okay. Oh, this was kind of nice. There was a few little boom, a little splash of light amidst the concrete on there, but I don't know. Didn't really particularly like it that much. Here you can see all the blocks and the modules lining up. It's a bit boring. It's a bit like a black window. A black window is not really an interesting like feature in a photo. So there we go. Surfs up. Wow, surfs up. Yeah, she's smiling and just like riding the wave. This is cool. This was so fun to see the surfers. I love that surf culture on the river, the standing waves of the river of the St. Lawrence in Montreal. What a trip that is. And then there were two. So I don't really like this one. I like this one when they're two. Then you can look between, right? When they're two contrasting elements, two sort of paired elements in a photo, the way there are here, right this way, yeah. You can look at the guy here, the girl here, like, and just go back and forth, and then, your eye kind of looks here, and then, okay, then we follow this line of the surf, and come to this guy, and follow this line, and then look at the so it keeps our eye interested. When there's just one element, like here, there's a bit of trees, but they're kind of distracting also. They're out of focus, kind of distracting. So I like this one. Let's play with the exposure here a little bit on the blacks. Make the river black. Boost up the shadows. Wonder what it would look like black and white. Yeah. What else? Where's the bright part? So I was exposing here because I figured this was the brightest part, the white in direct sun, and so it's right at the edge. But we can probably play with that a little bit, bring up the whites just a touch. I'm watching this cursor here so I increase the whites until it's just not blown out. And then as I decrease the highlights, then I get more detail. Ooh, look at the detail that it brings out. But it kind of flattens it a little bit, but it does bring out some detail in the roiling, boiling of this structure here. So let's see a before and after here. Boom, boom. I do like that. How's the crop? How's the lining up? Yeah, he's about at the rule of thirds. There's a bit of river in the front. You can kind of feel that they're looking at the river. I do love that one. It's great. Again, another view, just documenting the view more than anything. The old Molson Brewery, the clock tower. Oh, it's not even vertical. The old, no, not the, well, it is old also. The Olympic Stadium. Let's just do a little auto. Let's do a guided verticality here. Oh boy. No, let's just say screw it. What else? There's the Cirque du Soleil and the Grande Roue. I got lots of other nice photos of this Grande Roue, but I don't have them here on this system right now. Oh, there's a zip line here too. This is cool. Tyrolienne zip line. This thing here is like a flap, and you stand on it, and then 3, 2, 1, poof, and then they drop, and you just drop. You fall down. Super fun. Did that with my wife. And there's also a zip line that takes you across over here. There's some good tourist attractions in the old port. And even if you're not a tourist, it's fun to be a tourist in your own city and do some little activities. So I recommend it before the summer's over. Here we are at the end of the building with a nice view of the bridge, clock tower, Molson, Olympic Stadium, La Ronde, that's the amusement park over there, the river, the bridge. Panoramic, yeah, why not? Yeah, so there's the terrace of the place. Nice little spot to sit and chill. Let's make the view a bit better so we can, what do we want to do? Fit? I want to do fill here. Fill, yeah. Fill is going to fill it vertically. Yeah. Let's just scroll by. There's, yeah, you can see the modules, and that's a nice common area here. Lovely sky. It was just great. It was damn hot. Good sun, but nice clouds too. There's a new tower here. Like I said, I've been on the top of this tower here for photos another time. And they've built this new nice glass structure with a lookout tower. Also been on the top of this building. That was great. And as we move over, been on the top of this building. Been on the top of this little building here. It's good times, fun times. Moving over, there's the river. The surfers were somewhere over here. Let's go back. There was this little tiny patch of light as we came down back onto the main level. My mentor tapped me, said, "Look at the patch of light." So I tried to capture that patch of light. So you expose for this patch of light because you know that's the brightest part of the image, and it is. You do want it's sort of the light's bouncing off of it onto here, so it's quite neat. This part is exposed at 98%. So yeah, we did good. We did a good measurement there. Wonder what we can suck out of the shadows. I already boosted the shadows 100. Whoop. Yeah. Black and white. Black and white's kind of nice. Looks like just like a cell phone in your face, illuminating your face. Neat. Again with the garden, that's kind of okay. It's a bit zen, a bit peaceful. Come down the stairs with your coffee, hang out in the garden by the trees. Lovely. Looking again straight up. So whenever you're out doing photos, don't forget to look up. Look up, look down, look all around you for that special viewpoint that only you will see and can capture. So that's cool. It's a good lesson there. This was a kind of a zen. So again, on the right, the sun is raising in, and this little sculpture here at the front door, kind of welcoming. And yeah, I already played with a little bit with the exposures. Let me see what the original was. Boop. That was the original. Cropped it in a little bit to get rid of. This was kind of noisy here, a bit distracting. So you want clean lines. Crop in the rectangle. This is about at rule of thirds kind of grid point here. It's kind of a strong point in the image. I mean, your eye is generally attracted to that. You can go promenade around. Imagine yourself promenading around here. Oh, there's a wall here. I'll come back here. Oh, there's a tube here. I'm in the door. I'm in here. A little bit of texture here to sort of grab your attention also. So then we did a bit of exposure, a bit of highlights, shadows, blacks. Yeah. Nice. Again, looking up into the monster. Yeah, interesting perspectives there with the iPhone. iPhone is fun. Wide angles, massive wide angle, the 0.5. I have the iPhone 12, whatever. I hate talking about iPhone model numbers. There we go. This also was with iPhone, I think. No, this was a still image from a video. Maybe I have the video here. This was also a still image from a video. Do I have the video? Ah, I do have the video. Here's the video. I could actually make a panoramic out of this. Sorry, let me turn off the desktop audio so you don't have the screeching and stuttering. Only I get to hear it. What I'm doing is I've got the phone like this and I'm rotating it like this. Rotating the phone like this. And the idea is to rotate it around the axis of the lens to minimize, because if you kind of move the camera like this, you're going to screw up the parallax. basically, and the lines aren't going to be aligned together. So if you try to rotate, when you do panoramics, it's best to rotate the phone, not to go like this, not to sweep the phone, but to rotate it around the axis of the lens like this. So what I was doing was rotating it around, trying to rotate it. Actually, just put your finger there and rotate around like that. That's great. I just found a new workflow here for making panoramics. Put your finger there and rotate around like this. Put your finger here, rotate like this. That's cool. This is a trick. There's super crazy gear from like Really Right Stuff for like panos, multi-row panos. It's like gimbals that rotate. Essentially what you want to do is rotate around the focal point, the nodal point of the lens. And so that varies with lens size and sensor size and camera and all this good stuff. And but with the iPhone, it's kind of easy because the lens is so tiny. Like the nodal point is really just in the middle there. So if you just rotate around that like this, that's cool. Neat workflow. Then you'll come up with this kind of thing where things are right. When I talk about parallax, it's like look at the alignment of certain elements, and I can't find any right now. Anyways, it's okay. So I took a couple of still images out of this video here. Maybe that's another one. But what I could do here, maybe this is an exercise for another time, is extract frames, like 1 frame, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not this one, but more this one, with enough overlap. Maybe like 4 frames. I think I've already got like 4 frames. I've got at least 3 frames here. This was taken with iPhone. Yeah, also iPhone. There's 1 frame here. See, these 2 frames, I could combine them into a panoramic. And this one also. You can see this element here, this bar, this line here, is present in here. So there's enough overlap between these two, but the exposures are a bit different. But you could definitely make a panoramic between these two. And why don't we just do that? Let's, no, don't do that. We got to take our stretch here, but we can add that to our notes here. We can group these together, stack them together, and make it into a panoramic in Photoshop. Another time. Yeah, this was kind of like interesting lines going down, going up, a bit divergent and a bit boring, I found. Too many elements. Sun was now coming from the other side. It was kind of nice, but just a lot of elements. And that's the end of our tour of Habitat 67. What's my coup de cœur? We always have to have a coup de cœur. Our heartstrings go for this photo. I love this photo, the surfers in the water. So folks, that's the end of the tour of Habitat 67 with the photos. We're going to take a short break. We got to take our stretch, take our bow. Thanks for listening. We thank the audience for your attention, but I'll be back. It's only, what time is it? 9:15. We got another little segment coming up, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do there, but we'll do something. Maybe we'll do a little Photoshop detour, or maybe we'll do something else. Who knows? Hang tight. Back soon. Hey, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Good morning and good afternoon, good evening, and good night in case I don't see you. It's 9:21 a.m. Eastern Time. We're just enjoying the lovely summer surfers on the river of Montreal, St. Lawrence River, behind the Habitat 67 building in Montreal from Expo 67. Moshe Safdie creation. Shout out to the vision of cheap, affordable housing for all based on modular blocks. And I suspect like there's something neat there actually. There's an innovation company, Carbacrete, in Montreal, and maybe that's an energy sketch episode that we're building up now. Um, because the fact of like putting the concrete, we're gonna just go to full screen with our graphics here because we take our stretch. This is our home base here, and then we'll come back to the content a bit later. Yeah, so just riffing on that idea of the modular approach of building those buildings of concrete in a factory, then you can also bring like factory technology into that process that you can't do when you have to pour the concrete on site, right? You could have carbon capture, you could have CO2 injection into the concrete blocks the way they do in a couple of concrete innovative concrete companies like Carbacrete. And I think it's another Montreal company that's injecting captured CO2 back into the concrete. I don't know if it strengthens it necessarily, but it sequesters it permanently in the concrete, which is cool. And concrete on its own, cement and concrete production, accounts for some percentage, a few percent of global CO2 emissions. Actually, is from the production of cement and concrete. And I spoke about pyrowave the other day in an energy sketch around using microwaves to heat up the limestone. So we're scatterbrained all over the place, and I'm a bit nervous to go into any urban rants right now. Um, but you know what? I feel like I've got some videos from a couple of adventures that I went on recently, so I think we're going to jump into some adventures. Adventures coming up. Um, yeah. Okay. Going to show some slow-mo photos of water structures that I haven't shown yet. Let's jump over to screen 2. My Stream Deck is working again. So here we are on an adventure. And there's this cooling station. This is a nice little plaza over by the Atwater Market in Montreal. So let me show you this on the map. Let's get rid of this side thing here. Let's get rid of this. Let's zoom back out. Montreal. And we always got to sprinkle in a little bit of Montreal history while we're here. So this is Montreal. Downtown is here. Airport is over here. Train triage yard is here. Here's the river, the St. Lawrence River. And I showed you the surfers who are chilling out here. There's another place where surfers chill out, which is over here, the Vagagi. I can show you that picture here. Vagagi. Anyways, I won't go into the pictures right now, but it's another standing wave. And this is the area also people kayak in this area and they go jet boating and there's rapids and it's like crazy awesome rapids here, big rapids. And yeah, I did talk about my adventures on a kayak, getting into the water over here, coming down here, going over the wave, and then come back here. This is where KSF, Kayak Sans Frontières, surf, sup, kayak, do lots of fun stuff there. But what I want to bring your attention to is this structure, water structure here, which is the Lachine Canal. There's another canal here. This is like an aqueduct, actually, that brings in water from the river into the water treatment plant, which is here, the Atwater water treatment plant. And this is the Lachine Canal. This used to be really the industrial heart of Montreal before they built this. They segregated this waterway here. There is this seaway, this structure here, all the way down. There locks on here? I believe there are locks on this seaway. So the seaway gets you around the rapids, and so surely there must be a lock here. Yeah, there's a lock here. St. Catherine Lock. You can see it's just wide enough for a big boat to fit through. And there's a bit of pleasure craft also that can go around. There's a little park here. So that lock, does the change in level appropriate because of these rapids here, the Lachine Rapids. And the big boats keep going around here. And there's oh no, this is the new bridge that goes way over. And there's another locks over here. Is there a locks here? Yeah, there's a locks here. And there's also a bridge that raises up whenever there's a ship there. This is a rail bridge and a car bridge here also. And then it's connected, and there's bike path. It's a bike path that goes all along this here, along the seaway. And then the boats enter or exit here to get back into the river. So that's the seaway. And there's other stuff upstream of here I could show you, but I won't show you right now. There's this big canal that was dredged out here. The boats used to go through this little canal here. So there's an old, no longer used canal here with sort of like nice bike paths along it. Goes out into the country and cuts across all the way up to here, to Les Coteaux. The Canal de Soulanges. And in another photo adventure, we went here to Pointe Cascade and took pictures of this locks here and just chilled around. It was quite nice. So zooming out again. Sorry if I'm making you dizzy with the zooming out. There's just so many elements to talk about. Let's focus back again on the Lachine Canal here. So this area is no longer used for industry, transport, water transport, all that stuff. But it's still pleasure craft can use it. Kayakers can go in certain sections. And it's just a lovely place. And there's nice bike paths. And it's a transport corridor. And what did I do? On one of my adventures, I went to the Atwater Market. It's a lovely public market in Montreal. And just nearby, there's a little place publique here. Nice little, here, there's a little place publique. They've got an ice cream stand. There's washrooms. You can chill out here. And what they had there, I'll jump back to Lightroom now, was these cooling sort of station. And they had all these lines in the strung up like Christmas tree lights with little jets, atomizing jets of water. And you could just stand in there and cool down. So I took, as I always do in these sort of neat structures, I took some slow-mo video. This video is not that great. I'm looking for these structures, right? I love to see these jet structures waving in the wind and billowing and stuff like that. But I was looking really to have it up against a dark background. So this is the key. And I'd love to have a freaking awesome slow-mo camera that also has a zoom lens on it. And I don't want to get into gear acquisition syndrome, of course, but suddenly, okay, good. Lightroom sort of screws up sometimes. But this was good. I got a black background here, the sun coming from the back. You can see just those structures, little jets, just wisps of jets of water, and there I am taking the video. People probably thought I was quite a strange character, but when you're out taking photos and you see something interesting to you, nobody else sees it. They think you're weird, but that's okay. You're like, no big deal. I'm out doing my thing. I'm having fun. You do you, I do me. I don't want to disturb people. I don't want to harass them, of course. I don't want them to be in my picture, so that's how we roll. I did lots of tries here and finally settled on this kind of background here. There's a little jet atomizer at the top, but it's kind of boring. But at least I got some bright stuff against a black background. So I could bring this into Touch Designer and sort of feed it back and do that. So maybe we're going to do that right now. We're going to do a little quick impromptu demo in Touch Designer. we're going to crop this on the black part, and then we're going to do some feedback on that. We're going to have it roiling and boiling around. So let's jump over to Touch Designer. Hey folks, whoops, I'm going to record this segment now as a possible Touch Designer tutorial. Hey folks, Michael Johnson. Hello to the Touch Designer community. I've got these crazy, fun, slow-mo videos that I like to take of this water jet up here in the top right corner, spraying with the sunlight coming from behind, and I aligned it so I had a dark background with the light-colored water droplets. And I'm going to just have some fun in Touch Designer and try to do some feedback loops and maybe blend these together, rotate them, add some noise, stuff like that. So let's jump into Touch Designer. And first thing I do is, take the video, copy paste, and there we've got our video in. And I like to have a bit more space on the side, so I remove the palette and zoom it in. So here's what I want to do. I want to take a crop first, so just to isolate this dark part of it. So let's just right-click here, type in crop, and then we're going to crop from the top down in, and probably crop from the bottom to make sure we don't have that stuff. And that's looking good. Probably crop from the top a little bit more because the video kind of moves around a little bit. There we go. What do I want to do with this? I don't know. Just going to play around. Probably want to do a level to kind of make it really dark black in the background. So let's add a level. Level top. And what we want to do is play with the black level to make it really black in the background. And I don't know the brightness. Could crank up the brightness a bit. We don't want it too bright. Now it's looking like fire. I mean, if I just made that red, it would almost be like fire. I mean, this is cool. And yeah, I love that. So now what else do we want to do? I want to play this through a kind of a feedback loop. We want to just add it up together. Maybe I want to have maybe streaks. My idea is to kind of have streaks of this. So we're going to add a feedback top, and probably a level here because we're going to add this together with the other stuff. And so put the brightness down. Bring the brightness down. Then we need a composite. Always with the feedback loop, you need a composite because what you want to do is composite the feedback leg here back with the original image. And we want to have this to be, I don't know, add. I start with add usually, but now nothing's happening because feedback needs a target top. So we click on the composite, drag it back to the feedback, and now it's going to do our feedback. Probably we need to really drop this brightness down a lot. And is that doing anything different? Right? Have we actually done anything? I don't know. Probably we need a transform in here to kind of add some noise, add some rotation. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to stretch this out a bit. And it's good practice to always leave a null at the end of your chain. Whoops. A null. Whoops. Damn it. Null. And shout out to Electronaut. I call it BG. And maybe you can make this visible, but that's a bit distracting. So let's add a transform. Transform. No, that's not what I want. We want to add not a point transform, a transform. Probably we want it like, if we just make this rotate, right? No. It's too much rotation. It's too flat. It's too boring. I want to be able to compare this original footage with the composited footage. So I want like two things on top of each other that I could have in a left panel. that would do that. So I need like a panel. I'm not sure how to do that. I want like a container top or like a panel container, field container and panels. No, I want a. I don't know. Uh, I don't know what I want. I want to build a top that has two tops inside of it. How do I do that? Question for later. But right now, I want to just, I don't know, play with this. We can just bring this over and bring this all the way over here so that I can at least sort of see what I'm doing here, if what I'm doing is having any effect. And I'm not sure right now if it's actually having any effect. Put this loop in the middle so I can actually work on it. There we go. Level, oh no, why did we do that? Now we're kind of getting some weird effects. This is kind of cool. We need to probably drop, it's a combination, whoa, this brightness is way too bright, that's why. Drop this down. Now we're getting some fade over, right? We're getting some crossover, some sort of blending together. Can probably, again, do the black, oh, no. Bit more brightness on this one maybe is going to make a difference. It's going to just saturate. Just playing with the brightness. There's kind of like two main controls here. There's the brightness here, the level here, and the level 2 within the feedback that's going to change from here to here. It's adding them up. So you're seeing some bright regions kind of appear where there's more flow. So that's really the play there, is between those two. And ideally what we'd probably want to do is have some noise here driving like a translate. We want to have this as a maybe pixels or fraction, but we want to operate at like 0.01. Right, as I move this around, it's going to like kind of add in a different way within the feedback. So we could have noise, could be rotating around. So that's kind of just a basic feedback loop. We take in a nice slow-mo video here. We crop it into the region of interest, really where you want to separate like a black background and a light colored sort of particles. Bring that into a level. And then a basic feedback loop would be a feedback, a level, and a transform that would composite back together with the original image and go to your null BG. And play with really the level, contrast, black level here, and add some noise in a transform. So that's a simple feedback loop top in Touch Designer. See you later, folks. Cool. Okay, and we're back. So hope you like that. Yeah, didn't really work out the way I wanted exactly, but this is fun. So we're going to save this now under Documents, Assets, Touch Designer. I don't know how to do this. 2023 08 16 water spray, slow-mo, water spray, feedback. Okay, close that. Play this again. Okay, so we got a little tutorial there recorded. That's fun. Let's go back and peruse a few more slow-mo videos. I know I'm getting annoying with my slow-mo videos, aren't I? Sorry. Here's another one. Nice and wispy. This could be neat, actually. This could also work interestingly within that touch designer. Let's add a few to that touch designer. Let's add a few other movie file ins that have been cropped, and then we could. That's kind of the next. Excuse me. The next level is like switching between footages. So let's find this one in Explorer and bring it in as a movie file in, and back to touch designer. So what we can do, and I'm not an expert here. We want to add a crop here because we're going to have different settings for the croppiness of each image. This is probably going to be just crop the top a little bit. And probably different settings of the levelness. What I want is to have multiple options to bring in to this effect. I want to have a kind of a switch somehow. How does switch work? Switch, top, index, 0, 1, common. Okay, so what I can do is just move this stuff over, move this level over, and this is the level that goes with this line here. And we want to run this into here, run this into here, run this into here, remove this, disconnect. Okay, so switch is active because it's at 0. If we go to 10, nothing changes. It's only got one little thing. Now we can add a level on this one. We can tweak our black level, get rid of the background. Looks like fire, looks like flames. It looks blue now, it looks cool. No, the contrast. No, we're playing with gamma. Whoops. Reset. And bring this in as another element. So what we can do now is actually switch between elements. Cool. So we can have a chain here with specific crops, specific levels for each piece of footage that then gets into a switch and goes through the same feedback loop. But these feedback loop settings are going to have to be tweaked for each loop, so it's a bit different. But anyway, building it up. Let's go back to Lightroom and see what other crazy slow-mo stuff we got. This one. This could be neat, just cropped like right here. My camera's like moving around. Let's find this one in Explorer. 9632.movie-2. Bring it in. What we want to do is also just make the cue point a little bit further in. And crop. Crop the top. Crop the left. That seems good. Another level. The black level. Crank up the contrast a bit. Put this into the switch. Neat. Then, so I just want to, again, show this one. on the background. Then we can switch between these. Blend between inputs on. Oh no, this kind of like blends. Like I've got 3 inputs right now, right? I've got input 0, and I'll just turn off. So, and I'll go by 1. Input 1, input 2. Oops. So if I blend between inputs, then as I move this, it's actually going to blend a little bit of input 2. Neat. Neat. This is cool. Let's turn off the parameters. Okay, let's add a little movie file out. Record our little snippet. I like to record GIFs. And let's make a GIF. So we can add this to our logseq visual database, right? So I wonder, these should just be fit together onto like the same aspect ratio, and it should be square. I think that would be best. Let's take this one and try to make a fit. Fit top. Just disconnect this for a second. Fit top, fit common, I want it 1000 by 1000. Fit fill. Oh, did it stretch it? It did stretch it. I don't like that. Fit best. No, fit outside. And then we can just crop this, crop it right a little bit just to move it over there. Make all the footage 1000 by 1000. I think that's ultimately what we're going to have to do here. So this has got to go in here. Let's take these levels, move them over. Oops. Fit. Insert operator. Fit. Fitbit. Make this fit outside. So it's fitting it to a square aspect ratio. That's okay. Insert operator. Fit. Fit. Fit best. Fit outside. I can control which region, I guess, it samples. Readjust these sizing here. Now we're cooking with gas, huh? Okay. Okay, so what this allows us to do, and now I'm going to make a pane on the left. So we can split left, right. We can choose at the top left here, make this a top viewer, turn off display, show background tops here, shrink this down a little bit. We just see our little imagery there. And we can turn off all of the viewers here, actually. Yeah. It's just really distracting, right? If we just select all of these and just disable viewers. Nice. Okay. So here we are. We're playing with the switch between 0 to 1. That's 0. That's just the basic one. This is like 1. Bit of blending. Then you could have like another feedback loop on top of this, right? Could make a slider also for the switch. Let's do that. Let's add a comp, slider, and slider value. Make it active. This goes from 0 to 1. So what we want is, we want it to be 2. Zone right? Oh no. 0 to 1. Value, clamp. Can I set that, or do I need to use a multiply somewhere? Layout, panel, look, children, drag drop, extensions, value, zone left. Okay. 0.5? No, it only tracks between 0 to 0.5. Can I use 2 here? Is it going to scale? No, because it only goes, it still tracks me. No, that's not what I want. Simple thing is just going to be like a map range, basically here. So let's add a math, chop, or a multiply. Multiply by 2 by the number of elements minus 1, and this is going to drive our switch index. So we click on the switch index, enable this, drag and drop here, chop reference. Now we can operate this slider. Whoops, if we activate it, disactivate this, now we can operate the slider from 0, 1 to 2. I think I'm going to crop this one in a bit more from the top. Go. Looks like fire, like looks crazy. There's greens, there's blues, there's all sorts of things. So this slider goes from 0 to 1. Then this one multiplies that number by 2, feeds that to the switch, and so it's an index 0, 1, 2. There's 3 elements of footage right now, and that's how we roll. Isn't that cool? Okay, let's go back to Lightroom and see what other footage we can add to that. I'm sure I've got more slow-mo footage somewhere that's going to be interesting. Sorry, you've seen all those before. This one. Why not? 9634, back to Touch Designer. Boom. Boom. Crop, fit, and level. Can we just duplicate this or just Control C, Control V? Yes, we can. Let's move the slider and, whoops, slider and level out of the way. Whoa, up here, perhaps. It's going to be our control zone. Crop, fit, and level. And disconnect this. Connect this. Here. Here, we want to crop left a little bit. Right a little bit. Top less. Bottom a little bit. And then a fit. And add that to the switch. And change this so that it increments by 3, since we now have 4 elements of footage. I want to see this, just check my levels here. Looks good. Similar to this one. So now we can blend, or we can have a noise that blends between footage. Yeah, anyway, we're making a kind of a rig. This is the concept in Touch Designer that's I want to progress on a little bit, is sort of like make a template, make a rig, which is a little, I mean, it's this loop. It's a feedback loop with a switch. And then it does a particular kind of effect. And then I can find media that would go well with that particular effect and put them in here, slot them in here. And then do some processing on them, some crop, some fit, some levels, and then make a switch that'll sort of switch between them and then play with that. So that's what we're up to. Now let's just record a quick movie file out. And let's have like, um, well, we can have a noise to drive the slider actually. Anyway, no, we could just have a noise to drive the switch for the moment, but that's okay. We're on a movie file out. Let's record and just switch. Okay, so we recorded our thing, and there we go. Thanks for tuning in to Touch Designer thing of the day. I need to make that recorded. Make the page. Touch Designer / slow-mo water spray feedback. We're just going to go for it. /template, Touch Designer project. So I'm going to just pause this for a moment, and I'll show you behind the scenes now how I operate in Touch Designer. I just created this page, Touch Designer / slow-mo water spray feedback. I've got my snippet. I just need to manage my file locations here. So documents, assets, Touch Designer. Just copy this. Going to make a new folder here. New folder. 2023-08-16. Boom. Oh no, where did it save? Often Touch Designer saves it in weird locations. Assets, Touch Designer. Okay. Can close this now. And desktop. No, it's under documents, assets, Touch Designer. This. No. This. Cut that. Put it here. Take this, copy it, put it into snippet. Nodes, we want to... Oh no, I closed it. Oh well, that's okay. For the location, I want to shift, right click, copy as path, come back here, put a code block, copy. And then what I can do, we've got our snippet, got our location, it's in a code block, and I have a plugin in LogSeq to copy this. I hit Windows R, Control V, Enter, and then it's going to open that file. This is brilliant. I feel brilliant. So there's our file. And now we want to take a little snippet of this to just capture the node setup. Let's do that. Little copy screen. And then we go into nodes and we paste. There we go. So we can go in here and we can look at the nodes. Footage through a switch, driven by a slider, feedback level transform, composite, BG. There we go. I love this way of working in LogSeq because now I can go back to my touch designer and these are all of my visuals. This is awesome. Like I'm just building up this repository. It's so cool. Got to close touch designer now. Close that. Created at. We can filter by what? Yeah, okay. So I'd like to make another message for the LogSeq community around how I do this business here. There's some business here. How I manage visuals. Let's bring up a sidebar so that we can hide my face here. Close, whoops. Okay, we're going to record a short message to the LogSeq community, and then I think it's time to end the stream. So let's go for it. Hi to the LogSeq community, michaeljohnson.tv here. I'm really enjoying being on the Discord and on the forum and playing with LogSeq. I've been using it for maybe a year or less now, and I feel like I'm really getting into a flow and building up a workflow in the way that works for me, which is awesome. I love this tool, the simplicity, but also building elements here. So I want to share with you how I'm using it to manage these visual effects, basically. So I use this program called Touch Designer. It's a kind of a node-based workflow for doing visual effects and controls and big installations, big performances, stuff like that. I'm starting very, very gently just with taking some pictures and some videos and making effects on top of them. So what I've built up now is a hierarchy in Touch Designer. And so all of these pages have Touch Designer / a title of the effect. So this is the Touch Designer / noise edge detect effect. And I'll go to that page to show you what the page looks like. And I have a template now. So I have a /template for Touch Designer project. And what that does is right now it gives me these three properties: file location, snippet, and nodes. And so the file location I put in a code block, and I'm using Windows exclusively basically for Touch Designer. Don't really use my Mac much anymore, so I'm okay with just like having direct links in Windows. And what I do then to open the file is I copy, I hit Windows R, Control V, Enter, and then it opens the program, the Touch Designer program. And I get this link from Shift, right-click in the Explorer window on the file name, copy as path. That's how I roll. There's probably other ways to do it. I find this is just simple, and I can just copy the code block and paste it into Windows to run. Now the snippet is basically a GIF file. You'll see it's a GIF. So the program Touch Designer has a way to record your output. I just record a short snippet as a GIF, and then I'm awesome. Like Logseek can show you a GIF, and it loops. So you can see, just get a feel for what that effect is doing. And then the other thing I have in the properties is the nodes. So I typically take a screenshot and copy it in here. So this shows you roughly the node flow of this particular effect. It's a noise with an edge detect, take a difference, run it through a feedback, do some compositing, and record my video out. And I can update this as I go. And ideally what I would have here is a kind of like a section that would be like brainstorm, and a section that would be like log. And then I would say like, time, I would say like today / time. Recorded short message, right? And so that's how I roll. So then the great thing that I'm starting to discover now, a year after starting to use Logseek, I'm using these namespaces, the hierarchy, Touch Designer hierarchy. So I can then come back down here and click here on the hierarchy, which takes me to the Touch Designer page that I showed you earlier, where I've added my query. I query for namespace, Touch Designer, and you could use other queries. There's many different ways to do queries, but all that I want from this query is the page title and the snippet and a little bit of info on when it was updated. So this is awesome. I can just come here and say, okay, what do I have in my archive? What do I have as visual sort of, elements that I can use? Where am I on these projects? So I can just come and scroll down, and I've got all of my little visuals that I've created along with the page, when I worked on it, when it was created. This is awesome. Like, this is really great. So I'm using this for both these Touch Designer, and I'm also using it for my Energy Sketch, which is a kind of podcast, video cast. So what I do there is I search, and I have a property for series Energy Sketch. And again, on each page of the Energy Sketch podcast, here you can see it, I have the series, the status, the description. I have a thumbnail, a graphic here, that's a sort of a thumbnail that I would use on YouTube. The same thumbnail that I have on YouTube, I have in my Logseek, so that I can come down here and I can have a graphical query. This query page shows me the episode number, the page name, and the thumbnail. So it's awesome to just get my energy back up and just scroll down. Hey, look at what I created. I made all of these. And it's great to have this reference in Logseek, and I'm just building it up. So that's the workflow of how I use Logseek for snippets of visual effects. And I've been really having fun with Logseek. Thanks so much for everyone in the community. See you soon. Bye. Awesome. So there's, let's go back to homepage and stream page. Oh dear, where are we streaming? Streaming here. Log / time. Recorded video for Logseek workflow. I should give that page a name because I should have tutorial pages for Logseek. Logseek / visual snippet workflow. Yeah. Okay. Nice. I think we're approaching completeness here because, well, we've been going for 2 hours and it's time to take our stretch. Got to take our stretch. We can't continue down rabbit holes. We can't continue working. We are human beings. We have limited energy, limited focus, limited time, limited brain, computational power. So we need to take our stretch, take our bow, and we thank the audience for showing up. We acknowledge ourselves for sticking to the schedule at 8:12 a.m. and reminding myself that it was, a bit of a rush this morning, and I was feeling a bit tired, and because we were out shooting and it was hot and all that stuff yesterday, but it's good for me to have the schedule ahead of time. Yeah, 8:12. showing up at 8:12. I'm out there. I'm showing up. And then you get excited. I find I get excited when there's a schedule out there, when there's a commitment out there. So, reminder to self. Message to future self. Way to go. Acknowledge yourself for showing up at 8:12 a.m. And I even timed myself how long it would take me to make my coffee, which was about 8 minutes. Grinding the coffee, grinding. Okay, get the water going, heat up the coconut milk, start grinding. Okay, do this. And it was fun. And I had my coffee and I was ready to go at 8:12. So thanks so much, folks, for tuning in. See you tomorrow, 8:12 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll have photos from an industrial zone near the slow-mo waterfall area, actually, which is funny, but there'll be a lot of graffiti, a lot of abstract stuff with like machinery and decrepit stuff. A zone parfaitement trash, as the French title of our sortie tonight. Our mentor Serge likes to have play on words. It's kind of fun, so I like that. And we did some cool stuff today. Touch Designer recorded some log-seek tutorials, and be well, folks. See you later. Toodaloo.